Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, and in a moment we'll be joined by Interim City Manager John Fitzpatrick. As usual, in the first portion of today's show, we'll have some municipal news to share, including updates from city departments and things happening in Oshkosh. In the second half, we'll highlight items from the upcoming Tuesday, February 25th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. And with that, we bring in our Interim City Manager, John Fitzpatrick. And John, thanks for making time for us today.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
Well, we've got a lot to dive into here. I know the first topic, we actually did talk about this a little bit on our last show, but we'd like to encourage people to participate. There is an open survey right now for community input into the hiring of the next Oshkosh fire chief, and we'd like to encourage folks to take part in this survey.
That's right. HR is working with our Police and Fire Commission to secure a new fire chief for the city of Oshkosh, and they have a process they've established that really involves multiple interview panels in addition to the Police and Fire Commission, a meet and greet that they want to have people participate in, and also this survey. And I think the idea is to try to get as much input as possible so we can find someone that's going to be the best fit for our community.
Right, right. And that survey includes questions about leadership qualities, community priorities, future goals, that type of thing. And I know that the Police and Fire Commission is actually central to this process.
They are. For people that aren't familiar with how that works, the state of Wisconsin has police and fire commissions that help municipalities with staffing for police and fire departments, as well as if there are any complaints that aren't vetted through the individual departments. That's something that they can look at too as an option here for the city of Oshkosh.
Sure, sure. And if you could give us a little bit of an idea of the time frame for the hiring process.
I believe that they're hopeful that the interview process can take place late March and early April. And then I think the goal is to try to secure our new fire chief in the June-July timeframe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And I know that the survey is available on the city's website, and there's a quick access to it on the hot topics on the front page of the city's website.
Right.
So people can access it that way. Or if folks already have a POLCO account, it's available through that as well.
Right. No, we encourage everybody to participate. If they could just take a few minutes, we would appreciate it very much.
Sure, and it doesn't take very long, so it's definitely worthwhile. Okay, we also wanted to make mention that in case our residents are noticing that there's some winter tree pruning going on in various neighborhoods, it's actually part of the annual pruning cycle for our forestry division. And so the crews are out and about pruning and taking care of about 1,900 terrace trees.
Right, exactly. For people that aren't familiar with how the pruning process works, they might think, gee, why are they doing this, during winter time?
Sure.
But, in a roundabout way, to make it analogous, they're kind of doing a little bit of surgery on the trees. And the best time to do that is when the patient is asleep. And so this is a good time for our foresters to get out there and prune those trees when the trees aren't completely awake and active.
Right, right. And much of this work has already been accomplished, actually, and they were able to do it early because of the mild winter that we had prior to the recent trends in weather.
Right.
But they're still out there doing some of the work.
Right. It's my understanding they're going to be working on everything south of the river between the lake and Interstate 41, and also south of 9th to Osborne Avenue. Just to give people an idea.
Right.
And it looks like we have a graphic that kind of shows, because we have so many terrace trees, as you mentioned earlier, Andy, we can't do them all in one year, so we try to do them in a cycle. And that gives us a chance to kind of assess different parts of the city, make sure that there's no disease or any signs that could be problematic, and then they can kind of look at it in different quadrants to try to make sure that we have a healthy urban forest.
Sure. And what they're looking for specifically is the structure of the tree and to ensure that there are no hazards that are being created by
Right.
the tree.
That's right.
And they're also trying to raise the tree above the roadway and sidewalk areas for safe vehicle and pedestrian travel.
Right. When they prune the trees, they want them to grow evenly, and if they are uneven, then that creates some of these hazards that we talked about, and also stresses the tree itself, the trunk itself, and then sometimes you'll see, breakage and things like that. We want to avoid that, of course.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll be keeping an eye for the crews that are out and about. We also wanted to make mention that coming up very soon here is Exploring Native American Cultural Heritage. The series begins on February 23rd. That's on a Sunday. This is a free program that's coming up, and we had mentioned it before, but we just wanted to ensure that folks are aware and that it's a great opportunity and it's a great collaboration between the city and several other entities.
It is. It's a really, I think, going to be a really amazing program for people to take in if they haven't already signed up. I think we have upwards of almost 500 people that have signed up for this program. So I think there's been a great reception to the idea of it, but it really, its genesis was the redoing of Pratt Trail in Menominee Park. And for people that hadn't been following the story, when we went through that process of redoing Pratt Trail, because of the historical nature of Menominee Park, its proximity to the water, we knew that there was a possibility of some artifacts that could be in that locale. So we worked very closely with University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee archaeologists and just a variety of different people, including the tribal nations, and tried to carefully be respectful of those artifacts, of all those peoples that were involved there. And so this is just kind of a little bit of a story about how we went through that process, what was found, how we interacted with all those entities. This was a joint project, internally with our Public Works, our Parks Department, our Museum Department. So it was a interdepartmental initiative, as well as entities outside our organization that I think we really did a nice job with. I'm very proud of the work that we did with all of our partners, and I think if the community has a chance to participate in this, and they'll be able to hopefully agree with me. I think we did a really nice job with this.
And that program is free, but folks, as you mentioned, are requested to register at the Oshkosh Senior Center's webpage, and there's more information that is available there as well.
And it's my understanding too, Andy, it's not just us promoting this, but I think there's been some interest from a variety of different external agencies as well. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, beyond the Friends of the Oshkosh Senior Center, the Wisconsin Arts Board has been involved with this, the National Endowment for the Arts. So there is wider attention to this. It's not just purely a local point of interest. And even Discover Oshkosh is involved
Right.
because there are so many folks involved from outside of the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be something that certainly people that are signed up for can look forward to and hopefully maximize their opportunity to learn more about this.
Right, and it is part of a series, so there are more to come, and we will have some more information about that in future programs.
Right.
So, well, as we had mentioned, one of the partners involved in that is the Oshkosh Public Museum. And speaking of the museum, they have a new exhibit that is very interesting and very visual. It's called The Beauty of Marquetry and Parquetry. And so just to give a little bit of background for folks, marquetry is a technique achieved by cutting wood veneer into shapes and piecing them together to create a picture. Parquetry, on the other hand, is made by arranging pieces of wood into simple or complex patterns. So there's your Wikipedia about what this means.
Right. I know you were trying to stump me with a little trivia ahead of time, and I have to confess I didn't know marquetry. I did know a little bit of parquetry because I'm an old basketball fan, and I know there has been, people who may be familiar with parquet floors. So just a little bit of information about that, but this exhibit goes way beyond, my basic trivia reference there. I think that if you take a look at some of a little sneak peek, you can see all the beautiful exhibits that they're planning to be part of this.
It's quite ornate.
It is. It's really beautiful, and again, our museum is really taking the lead on a variety of different initiatives, and we're very proud of the work that they're putting into to provide educational opportunities for the community.
Yeah, and the lumber industry in Oshkosh back in the mid-1800s was quite, it was thriving, and it enabled woodworkers to produce furniture and folk art utilizing these specialized techniques.
Absolutely. It's, Oshkosh has a rich history, and, that history are the building blocks of our identity. So I think for people that enjoy history, enjoy Oshkosh, and enjoy the beauty of, fine craftsmanship, this is something that I think they might want to take in.
Yeah, and they can take it in now through June 7th, so they've got a little bit of an opportunity.
That sounds great.
To go over to the Oshkosh Public Museum and check it out. All right, we also wanted to point out another annual event is coming up for the sports fans that we have in our audience today. Boots versus Badges basketball game is coming up, and this is the 6th annual of this series. This is the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office taking on the Oshkosh Fire Department in a hero basketball game.
That's right, and I'm not afraid to indicate my bias toward the Oshkosh Fire Department in this case. I have a lot of friends that currently do and have worked for Winnebago County Sheriff's Office, but I think we can all agree that the athletic ability for the employees of the city of Oshkosh are far superior.
Well, there you go. And that game is Saturday, March 1st, 2:15 p.m. at the Oshkosh Arena. And of course, this is a great fundraising opportunity for the Oshkosh Dive Rescue Team, as well as Winnebago County Sheriff's Department's K-9 unit.
Right.
So it's
tremendous,
a great cause.
Worthy causes, and don't take my word for it about the athletic ability. Check it out for yourself. I think it'll be entertaining, and it's also a worthy cause that the proceeds are going to be directed toward.
Yeah, so a ticket is available, or is required for entry into the game. Again, that's 2:15 on March 1st. There is a herd game that same evening at 7 p.m. Just FYI.
Right.
And then also more information is available about tickets and everything else at the Oshkosh Fire Department Facebook page.
Right.
So you can check that out, and it sounds like a lot of fun.
It's early March Madness, so
yeah.
Take it in.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, John, we want to just give one last reminder that the winter ice skating continues over at Menominee Park, at the Menominee Park Zoo. It's been a very successful season this year for ice skating, and there's a little bit of opportunity left. This goes through the end of February.
Right, yeah. I think if you haven't had a chance to get out there, now's the time. I know we are supposed to see some warmer weather this next week, but that shouldn't preclude anybody from getting out there. We've talked also in the past how grateful we are for the support of Dr. Eric and the skate club there, where he provides free skate rentals for folks to participate in this activity. And I think the Lake Fly Cafe will be serving as a warming shelter on the weekends for people.
Right.
But the public is welcome to skate at the rink during extended Menominee Zoo park hours, weekday hours of Monday through Friday from 10 to 2.
That's right. That's right. So people can take advantage of it and enjoy it while we still have it here in February. More information is available on the Menominee Park Facebook page if there should be any closures or anything, but everything is open at this point, and encourage people to go and take advantage of it.
Right.
All right. Well, John, I think we'll take a quick break here, and it's time for us to jump into a short break. After we come back, we'll take a look at some highlights from the upcoming Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. We'll be right back.
This winter, pay attention, go slow, and stay in control while driving on Wisconsin roadways.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, along with our interim City Manager, John Fitzpatrick. Let's turn our attention to the highlight of some items from the upcoming Tuesday, February 25th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting. And John, we have an item that I have not seen on an agenda for 16 years, and that is oath of office for City Manager.
Right, yes. I think we've spoken about it on the show in the past that City Manager Rebecca Grill is going to be starting this next week, and so Tuesday will be her first council meeting. And as part of that process, it's customary to have the city manager take an oath of office, and that'll take place right at the beginning of the meeting after the meeting's called to order, and they conduct roll call.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a special thing, kind of a unique thing, and so folks want to tune in and check that out. I think it'll be a special experience, certainly for Rebecca too.
Sure. And as a reminder, Rebecca does begin her responsibilities on Monday the 24th, and so this meeting is on the 25th, and she will be hours into her job. So
that's right. Yep. I'm sure the council members will be gentle with her, although she's a very experienced individual. She's worked for the city of West Dallas for the past 10 years, but it's a tall order, I think, for anybody to step in and be responsible for a council meeting after less than 24 hours. So, but I'm confident she'll do a great job.
Yeah, and we're happy to welcome her to Oshkosh, and we're excited to work with her.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Well, then under our consent agenda, we have an item. We're creating some lots for single-family residential over at the former Washington School property.
Right. I know this is another item that we've talked about on the city manager report in the past, and council and staff have worked quite a bit to help address some of the housing deficiencies we might have in the community. And this project is, I think, very unique. We're partnering with the Oshkosh Area School District on the old Washington School site in order to provide infill lots. It includes private development as well as some homes that are going to be developed by Habitat for Humanity. And I know that Community Development Director Nyforth and her staff have worked very carefully with the neighbors. They had a neighborhood meeting, talked about the plans, talked about the character of homes. We want those residents to feel comfortable with this. We want them to feel excited by this too, because I think nobody wants to have an area that's fallen into disrepair and non-use, and this will inject a little life into that neighborhood and provide an opportunity for people to secure some housing. I know that there was some dialogue about the lot size. They wanted to make sure that the existing homes were going to fit within the character of the neighborhood, and I know Director Nyforth and her folks, as well as the council, are trying to accommodate all those desires.
Mm-hmm. And housing is a very important feature, an important topic in our community, and this helps to answer some of those concerns.
Absolutely, not only in our community, but a variety of different communities all over this country. And yes, we're working on a variety of initiatives This is just one of them.
Right.
But I think it's something that's going to certainly improve our community.
Right, right. Then we have another item right after that one, actually, approval of a plan for a multifamily residential development, and this is on Bowen Street, kind of close to where the Piggly Wiggly store is.
It is, yeah. I think that's a good way to try to give people some landmarks so they can reference what this is about. There's a green space area that's kind of east of the Piggly Wiggly on Murdoch, and it's my understanding that there's a potential multifamily residential development that'll be going in there. So we were just talking about the development over where the Washington School site is. This is a site that I know has been some open green space for quite some time, and I think it'll be a nice addition to that area.
Right, right, absolutely. I know that has been green space for quite a while, so good to see a development going there.
Right.
All right, then, John, we also have kind of a list of a lot of different locations here, and this is initial resolution for some special assessments, and this deals with, you can tell that we're getting into our annual construction season because we're seeing these items on the agenda.
You were stealing my thunder, Andy. I was going to say it's kind of a sign of spring, that we are getting involved in trying to initiate some of our construction projects. This one specifically is related to a lot of the infrastructure, storm sewers, sewer mains, laterals. I think people understand that, when we look at road construction, it's not just the surface. We really look at that three-dimensionally. We want to make sure that we're maximizing the tax dollars that the citizens provide to us, so we don't just repair a surface area and then have to dig it up and work on the infrastructure later. So it's very carefully thought out. That's part of the process. And this area is going to involve a lot of infrastructure, primarily sanitary sewer main laterals and, as I mentioned, storm sewers.
Right, right. So, yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot more involved than just that surface road, and so we're taking care of all of it.
And I think, too, for people that aren't familiar with our website, it looks like we have a graphic up there that illustrates the Public Works interactive dashboard that citizens can access that. They can kind of click on their area of their neighborhood or other neighborhoods and see what's plans, not only now, but in the future, get updates. They can get individual updates for any construction project. So they're part of an email process that is provided to anybody who would like to know about what's taking place. So I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I've been on there and I've looked at it, and I think there's so much information for people to access if they're interested in not only their neighborhood but others.
Sure. Oftentimes on social media, I see questions about, when is my road being done, or when is that road being done?
Right.
So folks can utilize that dashboard and actually kind of see all of the details of what's coming up, what's being planned.
Help them plan for whatever might be involved in their lives.
Right, right. And one of those projects actually for 2025, another somewhat major construction project is Wagoo Avenue, and so we are approving a bid for reconstruction of Wagoo Avenue this year. Right.
I think one of the remaining projects in that area for people that have been following some of the construction in that locale. There's been some significant work that's been done, and this Wagoo Avenue reconstruction is, I think, one of the pieces that's remaining. But we're anxious to get going on that as well.
And we should note that Wagoo Avenue, a large stretch of it was redone last year, but this is that stretch between Bowen Street and Lake Winnebago.
Right.
So that was not done last year.
Right, exactly. And as we discussed in the previous item, when we work on projects, we try to work in an area where we can not only work on the surface pavement, but as well as the infrastructure underneath. So we can just maximize the amount of work that we can get done. So we're not having to stop and start construction, especially with those things that are underground.
That's right. We do encourage folks to take advantage of that interactive dashboard that we've been showing. A lot of information there. And I know that the Department of Public Works also has several resources available for residents. If there is a project, they can sign up for email updates,
Right.
and they'll receive sometimes, I believe, a weekly update of what's happening with that project. So,
Right.
So specifically, like maybe for those folks that live on Wagoo, they could find out exactly what is happening, as it progresses.
Right, especially if they have something planned in the summer, some sort of family get-togethers, or some college students returning home and need to take some time away from school. It's good to know all those things in advance so you can plan for them.
Sure. So folks can definitely look around on the Oshkosh City of Oshkosh website, and there are a lot of tools such as that available for you to learn more about all of these various projects. Okay, then John, we also wanted to point out or give a reminder for folks about snow removal, and just the fact that it's good to be kind to your neighbor and take care of things for those that rely on our sidewalks and our public infrastructure.
Right. I think it's important to know that sidewalks should be cleared within 24 hours of snowfall, and we don't want to cover those fire hydrants, don't want to throw snow into the street. And I think it's especially important now. We've just had a recent kind of dumping of snow that took place over the last week or so. And we haven't had snow of that magnitude for a while.
Right.
So we just want to remind people it's important to keep those hydrants open, because if there's any kind of fire in the area, we want to try to be able to access those to make sure that we can preserve anything that might be valuable in any way, shape, or form. So if you could please make sure that you don't bury those, and even it would be helpful if you could kind of dig around them in the event that fire may need to access them. So there's that. There's the hydrants. The other thing I think that would be good for citizens to focus on would be some of our corners by our crosswalks. And people may not think of it, but on those corners, if somebody might be traveling, let's just say, for example, with a wheelchair, and they're trying to get across the street, if that crosswalk area on the corner is filled with snow, you just can't get through it. Or, maybe waiting to access a bus. So I think, as part of being a good neighbor, taking that extra time and just shoveling that little part of their corner is a real important thing to focus on.
Right. As well as storm inlets, actually, for our infrastructure, because if that water, if that snow starts to melt, it will have nowhere to go if those are covered.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent point, Annie. I'm glad we got some video there of I think, our Public Works Director doing a little shoveling.
Yes, it is. Yes.
But yeah, and we know that when you live in Wisconsin, you have to be prepared for just about anything weather-wise. It can be cold one minute, warm the next. And if we do have a warm-up, which it looks like might be the case next week, a lot of that snow is going to melt, it's going to pool, and then if we don't have that open inlet, the water can't drain. And then if we do happen to have a cold snap again, then it's frozen, and then water can't travel down that inlet when and if it does warm up again. And we don't want to create any flooding impacts for any citizens, so it's very important to try to keep those open if they can.
Sure.
A couple other little things just that come to mind. Community mailboxes that people have. Little libraries. I know that my wife likes to patronize those little libraries, and I know a lot of other citizens do, and kids do too. So it's a little bit of extra exercise, but I think certainly I could use it in the winter, and I hope others can too. And it's just about being a good neighbor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to look out for your neighbor and keep those streets, those sidewalks clean.
Exactly.
All right. Well, John, last show with you as our interim city manager. How's it been being our interim city manager?
I think it's been great, Andy. I had a lot of people certainly helping me. I'm very grateful for that. And it was fun. I get a chance to act in the capacity of the city manager when the city manager is not available for any reason. But this was a little longer stretch than normal. But looking forward to bringing Rebecca on board and having people have a chance to work with her too.
Sure, sure. Well, thanks again for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy.
And thank you for joining us today, too. We appreciate your time and spending some of it with us. Again, that Common Council meeting is at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, February 25th. You can watch it live on GovTV or listen on the radio on 101.9. And join us again in 2 weeks for another City Managers Report.